This is going to be the 4-month review of the Specialized Chisel HD competition. This is configured with the large frame. I'm going to go over a few of the changes that I made to the bike. So the most notable is the new seat. I'm doing a lot of bikepacking. I'm taking this bike to Iceland in about 3 weeks, so I wanted to sacrifice comfort for, I guess, aerodynamics. I also put a stem extender to make it less aggressive, so it's raised up actually about 1 inch. And then I added a new handlebar that's got a sweep to it, so that really gives me a much more upright riding position, much more comfortable for long distance. If I were to be doing some heavy duty off-road trails or racing, I would be switching back to the flat bar with the original stem. I've also got these ergon grips. So these ergon grips give you really nice hand positioning. When you're doing long rides, I have a tendency of my hands going numb, so it's always nice to switch positions. I also narrowed the bar, so I cut about 2 inches off each side. Makes it nice when I'm in city centers or riding downtown. It allows me to kind of get between cars easier. I've smacked my handlebars off of poles in the past, and it's very nerve-wracking when the handlebars get ripped out of your hands. Up front here, I have a Arrow. It's really a tent holder for what I'm using it for, but it's a pannier bag holder, and it should attach to your handlebars. But because I cut 2 inches off each side, the mount, which are these two straps, are fixed. They won't go pretty much any wider or narrower, and then there's a bracket underneath. And when it's attached to here, this portion is hitting off of my brake lever. So I couldn't have it there, so I ended up putting a extender bracket on, which has worked perfectly actually. And then underneath, I ended up having to put a spacer, like a bump stop, because the way it sticks out when I do have my gear up front here, the leverage is quite substantial, and it was moving it, pushing it into my brake line. So that bump stop has really helped assist in, I guess, keeping it fixed. I ended up adding just like a mountain bike mud guard, which helps quite a bit. Like, I'm on these gravel trails right now, and it rained this morning, so it does help prevent the debris from kicking up. I have two, one on either side. These are tail fin cargo cages, and they're specifically designed for forks that do not have mounting points. So you can kind of see on both sides, I have a carbon fiber mount. It's kind of just a pinch mount. It's got rubber bushings on the inside to keep it secure, and they're very secure. They are effectively one with the fork. And then you have the aluminum cargo cages themselves. They're the large size. Now, I did have an issue when I originally purchased this. So I bought these cargo cages aluminum with the aluminum brackets, but they ended up sending me a total of 12 different aluminum brackets. All of them were defective. The spot welds were all, I guess, they weren't done correctly, and they kept separating, so they ended up sending me a set of carbon fiber ones, which was nice. These are the SRAM Level T brakes, so it's a 180 mil disc in the front and a 160 in the rear. They are great brakes. The big issue that I've run into, and it's been resolved, is no matter how much you try to true the front rotor or the rear rotor, they always had a tendency to rub and make just this god-awful noise that would drive you nuts on long distance. And it was worse under load, so if you were accelerating, I guess the torque aspect of it would shift the rim enough. I don't know if it was just taking time to settle in, but that's been resolved. But what I have been having a big issue with, and it's kind of systematically there, is a squeal from the rear brake. I ended up resolving this issue about 2 months ago, and it was as simple as removing the pads, taking a very, very fine grit sandpaper, sanding the top layer off, and then doing the same on the rotor. So I left the wheel on the bike, and I just spun up the tire with the sandpaper on the rotor to take whatever, I guess, glaze may have been on it, and then used a little isopropyl alcohol and cleaned them all up. And that resolved the issue for a couple 100 kilometers. And then funny enough, on my way up to this trail this morning, it was raining, so my bike was on the back of my truck, and a bunch of road debris got on the rotors, and now they're contaminated again. So, okay, so I've flipped the bike around to give you a, I guess, view of the other side. So I'm running on here, what comes stock on the bike is the SRAM, I don't know the group set name, but it's a 1x11 drivetrain. It's great on the uphills. This thing's geared to go up a vertical wall. On the flats and downhill, I have maxed out with, I guess, my rotation pedaling, which is okay. I can kind of pedal at about 40 kilometers an hour before I've kind of maxed out the comfort level of spinning up my legs. The star on this bike, of all things, is this RockShox Judy Gold. It is awesome. So this is a full air suspension fork with a complete through axle, just like on the rear. It is a complete lockout as well. So you can see I have it set right now to locked out because I'm doing the gravel trails, but just a quick flick, you get the full suspension travel, and then the other way you get a locked fork. I'm thinking of getting the conversion where I can have this attached with a cable like a dropper post up on my handlebar, so I can kind of do it on the fly. But this suspension fork as a whole, I have it loaded with about 100 psi of air, and it is fantastic, especially when you're coming up to, if I do have it on some of these bridge entrances, for example, it just soaks it up like nothing's there. As a whole, I am incredibly happy with this bike. Yes, there were some growing pains, there was some breaking in, more than I had originally expected for this bike, but as a whole, it is amazing. I also have, so that I am taking this to Iceland in 3 weeks to ride the circumference of the ring road. So it's about 1,400 kilometers. So I'm bringing all my gear. I bought it's called the Old Man Mountain rack. So it goes with a specific mounting point. So that is a custom axle for the rack itself. And then it goes up to this seat post that you see there. And it is a complete structural rack. I think it's rated for 90 pounds with a braking load of 220 pounds. And then the last thing on these bikes, so factory from this bike, you get the Fast Track Control T5 in the rear, and then the T7 up front. They are different tread pattern. The T7 is specific for the front wheel, T5 for the rear. Both have different compounds and both have a slightly different tread pattern, one more aggressive than the other. I do a lot of gravel trails. I do a lot of single track. I have unfortunately had 2 punctures in about 1,200 kilometers, whereas with the Mezcal tires, I only had, I think, 1 puncture in about 7,000 kilometers with 2 different sets. So I am currently running inner tube just because that's the way the bike came, and that's kind of what I wanted to keep running. I will be going tubeless for my ride in Iceland. Just a couple other things. So I do have a bike pump, which is just a low pressure bike pump for my tires. When I do fly to Iceland, I have to bring, because you can't fly with it, air in your suspension fork or in your tires. So I need my high pressure fork pump that I got to bring with me. And then I also have this feeder bag. So this is the cockpit of the bike. I do have my bell, which I need kind of when I'm riding through the city. On this mounting bar, I've got my light holder, my phone holder, I was kind of just had a movie playing while I was riding because I've been on the trail for the past 5 hours. And then my feeder bag, as they're referred to. These things are great. So I got my quick access to like a pen, a knife, some sunscreen, in different storage. So I've got my battery bank in here, my headphones, glasses, flour that I just picked up. And then in my rear, I guess, cargo bag, I have all my tools. So I have a lock, multi-tool, like a Leatherman pocket knife. It's got pliers and knife and wire strippers and all that stuff, along with 2 tire levers and a spare tire. So this is the 4-month review of the Specialized Chisel HD competition, and I would give this bike a solid 10 out of 10.